Yeah, I mean, I watched Alex Trebek do it, just basically perfectly for decades. We got almost 40 years of Alex, and he had perfected the art of hosting Jeopardy. And that means that to people who work on that show and people who watch the show, he was kind of like a fatherly figure, keeping not just running a game show, but keeping a family together. And I don't think I have the same gravitas he does, and maybe I never will, but that's something I think about a lot. Like you got to keep the Jeopardy family together. I think it's probably because I didn't even go on TV until I was like pushing 30. Like we had gotten married, I had a kid, we had just bought a little starter home. Like I was already kind of a normal person. And so that's a little different than being like a child star where your life is crazy from the beginning. Like my whole goal was like this crazy Jeopardy thing. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I hope it doesn't change our lives at all because we're happy. At this point, I think it's that Jeopardy it's kind of transcended being a quiz show. Now it's like a national institution. It's part of people's day. And especially as the world gets crazier, it becomes like almost a public utility. It's like an island of sanity every night for people. They got to make sure their water comes out of the tap and their trash gets picked up. And Jeopardy is on every night at 7:30 or else. A lot of people just plan their day around that little island of familiarity. And we take that seriously. Jeopardy has like avoided all the political stuff, and it's just kind of stayed this beautiful thing that's kind of beloved by young and old and red and blue. And I think that's important. It's a space where facts matter. And I love that America can still come together every night for half an hour and agree that questions have answers.
It's kind of fun though, isn't it? I mean, you're having a good time. At least it seems that way.
It's my dream job. I don't really know how I lucked into this. It's probably a prank of some kind, like just a very elaborate prank. I hope they don't tell me tonight. But I don't know how I got so lucky. It's always been my favorite show, even as a kid. Like Jeopardy was a very important part of my day, seeing smart people be smart. The games are all randomized. So, every given day that we're taping, I review a ton of material. And then games are randomly drawn for each set of contestants. And what that means is a doctor might get a category about surgery, or a person from Atlanta might get a clue about the mayor of Atlanta. And that's just how it works. Instead of pulling those out, we think it's fairer to just randomize it and let the chips lay. It's always purely random when that happens, but the contestants love it. If you're from New Orleans and Final Jeopardy's about New Orleans, you're like, yeah. Yeah, like I hope it fulfills that place of ritual for people who rely on that in their evenings. I hope it's that. But for everybody, for a broader audience, people randomly tuning in because it's on in a bar or an airport or whatever it is. Like, I hope they just kind of realize Merv Griffin's vision of the game from way back in 1964, which is that there's a lot of stuff to know, and knowing everything is worthwhile, and it's going to move fast, so buckle up.
Is there a technique to answering the questions, but the way your brain has to work?
I think so. I think you're trying to stay ahead of the host because you can read the clue. If you're playing, you can read faster than the host is speaking. So while the host is finishing up, you should already be trying to figure out the clue. Do I have an answer? Let me kick the tires on my response. Am I going to say this? Do I feel good about it? Okay, I'm going to buzz. Like you should be doing all that inner calculus by the time I get done reading.
Gotcha.
And that's what the good players do.
Well, you're doing a great job, man.
I appreciate it, Greg.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.